aspect of the 3 colors that you are limited to makes this thing incredibly difficult because you have to leave good cards on the table and you have to prioritize having your synergies that you have managed to coalesce. So here it is. It looks like the players are getting this bad boy underway as Ed, one of the dice roll, leads Mulan. There's another one-cost character.
So yeah, I actually agree with you. Generally speaking, one costs, they don't stick around too long. You might just want to bulk out with 2 and up, but this Mulan, including the effect to draw and discard a card, is super good, allowing you to dig through the deck and find pieces that you need. Ed being on the play is pretty big as well. When he does discard, dump truck.
Oh man, I was hoping to get a dump truck on the stream. I was hoping for it to happen, man. Dump truck, we all pop off. As we want to toss Rudy down into the ink, well, we'll follow with that one cause, hey, we can check down this Mulan relatively easy. Brian hanging on to that library. I think that's going to be a great 4-turn play, potentially.
It's going to be huge. Yeah, obviously Rudy throwing off Brian's groove there, going straight into the inkwell instead to play the hey. Down comes the
quick shot.
The quick shot. 1 damage to a chosen character and draw a card.
But that is going to take Ed's 2-turn play, so maybe doesn't have it on the curve. Just going to have to blast a quick shot onto the hey. You hate to see it, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. We get into that Queen Baker. We got the first Queen sighted. Look at that.
Yeah, she's a pretty big girl. She only quests for 1, but you may exert to send 3 cards from your opponent's discard to the bottom of their deck, and you gain 3 lore. But if there's a princess among them,
and if you look on that board, there is a Mulan. She is disguised soldier, but she's still a princess.
She's still a princess.
So you're gonna have to, she's still a princess. So that queen can get a nice little 4-piece coming on in there, questing for 4, as we have the hey now. So you have to go ahead and maybe engage in trade if you.
The Phantom Block coming down. This is a 3-1 rush character. So this could allow to take a trade with the Mulan, and then the hey could stick around the Rambling Rooster and quest for a little bit. Why is he wearing a coconut? It's probably better not to ask.
It's a little bit of protection, I think. Just kind of keep him on the safe side. Hey is a bit frail sometimes, but that little bucket head will kind of coconut protection. I think that's what he's going to need as we get into the Basil, as you say. He'll get down to the
No. We do say Basil.
Say Basil? It's not Basil?
No, it is Basil.
Okay,
it is my favorite Disney film. I'm going to consider myself an expert on this.
All right. I'm just trying not to offend all the UK.
That's fine. Don't worry. I got this. But that Basil is super good. 3-2 evasive, and as we said, evasive is the name of the game. And you see a couple of them down here. We've got the Don Carnage, who has evasive and can give reckless, and this new Genie, who's a 3-4 and gains evasive during your turn.
That is a great tip for Tad. You put the Don Carnage down, you think you got something going on, and the Genie can check him quite easily, and he'll be able to take that damage and not be banished in the process. Taking those even or plus exchanges is what you're looking for in this limited format. Whenever you can take a plus value in that tempo exchange, you're probably going to take it. So Ed has to be very cognizant of what we do with this Don Carnage here.
And we see the panic as well in Ed's hand. We saw that be huge in round 1. For Frank's first game, really was a fantastic tempo turn. On play, you can move 2 damage counters from one of your characters to chosen opposing character, and quest for 2 as well. We're going to see the Iago come down, who has evasive, and you can pay 2 less for the next action you play when he quests.
And that was another character that had great effects in that previous game.
Go ahead.
Zan had that card down. He was able to play pull the lever for a 1 cost instead of his traditional 3. I thought that was pretty neat. And it's still evasive. But look at that Genie. Look how solid that card is, actually being able to contest this entire board, relatively effective as you get into the desperate plan. Yep. If Brian can kind of reduce the cards in hand, play a very powerful, desperate plan, I think that could propel him deep into the late end game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ever since Doc came along, the Bold Knight, this has been a card that has completely influenced deck building, being a way that you don't need to play things like Whole New World and you can just refresh your hands with Doc. And this desperate plan doing a very similar job. We're going to ink Jim Hawkins, and down comes the Jealous Beauty, JD.
Oh, that's a problem with that.
She's so jelly.
She is jealous. But you have her up and active. You have that princess in the discard pile already. And you have the adequate amount of cards to trigger her ability. So this is a problem for Chiu, and she has pretty impressive stat lines. That 4-3 is typically going to trade with most cards that attempt to engage with, and you have to engage with that card because putting 3 a turn, I think, could be problematic for you.
Yeah, especially if you've got a large discard pile where they can keep triggering. I do love this Basil. We would talk about 1 Basil, but this is another Basil with a 7 cost. We're not quite there yet, but on play, you can return a chosen character to their player's hand. And whenever Basil quests, the opponent discards a card at random. Really nice tempo card, which quests for 2. We're going to see a big body come down, 3-7. This is Flora, one of the worst fairies. I mean, the good fairies.
Oh, hey, whoa.
People at home, if you know, you know.
You know. We're not going to sully the situation here with that, but we got Fawn on here, and she's 3-7 stat line. Again, like you alluded to, Baker, that heavy willpower in sealed is something that you are absolutely looking for. 3-7, quest for 2, you can't have a better card. That thing can now check down the other cards that you know are going to, if you exert, then they're going to challenge you, and you can have the floor come and clean them up.
Yeah, you hope to get a 2 for 1 out of this floor at the very least, and that 3 strength is enough to answer quite a lot of characters that are in this sealed pool.
Yeah, because looking at Ed's hand, he really does not. He did go first. He's on the plate, but he's hand shuffling 2 characters right now. He just doesn't have the ability to continue the game. There's no more plussing, whereas Brian, who is kind of controlling this board a little bit, he has that desperate plan that he's hanging on to that's going to kind of propel him deeper into the format, deeper to the game, as you could take a turn off now and go ahead and set up this library.
Yeah, the library, one of the best locations available in this particular pool. 3 costs, you can pay 1 to move a character there, and whenever a character is banished while there, you may draw a card. We're going to see that Genie take a nice challenge into the Argo, only putting 2 damage on itself, and how the Jealous Beauty is going to have her way with Ed's discard pile.
Yeah, and let's see Ed to see if we're going to try to hide that Mulan, and Brian's not going to fall for it. We're going to go ahead and get those characters put to the bottom of the deck, gaining yourself 4 lore in the process. The players just trying to figure out exactly how they want to get this thing underway, and we will check those cards. Oh, I guess you get to choose how those cards go to the bottom.
Yeah, it's your choice, absolutely, which, it could become relevant if we're able to go through the entire deck, but we'll see. But yeah, the Queen immediately gaining 4 lore, courtesy of the Mulan being a princess. Now we're just going to start exerting our characters, going on some quests, and Brian is putting the pressure on already.
Absolutely. You are in control of the board. It's going to be your opponents trying to take the initiative. The opponents on your opponent trying to take the initiative back from you. You have complete control. Ed is dwindling in the resources. You do get that Jafar Aspiring Ruler. Is there something in hand that can make a favorable exchange for you here? You might have to trade down your board a bit. I think it's time to fight back if I'm at you.
Yeah, this Aspiring Ruler on play. You give Challenger 2 to another one of your characters. Kind of reminiscent of the Amethyst Merlin Crab. Obviously some slight differences, but that saw a lot of play. No reason why this shouldn't. And Questing for 2 as well, at only a 3-drop. Super solid character. And hey, we're in the reign of Jafar. I want to see some Jafar.
Can we please, if we could get a few Jafar sightings?
I'd love it. Strike an illusionist for the win.
I think that would be appropriate for the situation that we currently find ourselves. As now Ed is trying to get as much value out of this fauna as possible. Dawn Carnage is kind of spooling up, thinking on a challenge, and you will get into the Jealous Queen, the Queen, the Jealous Beauty, as Fauna Gwen takes +1 onto that Genie. So this board is looking a little bit sallow as we do not get CR Jafar. He's going to find himself down to the Ink 1 to a heel. Look at that turn from Ed. Huge play.
There we go. Great minds think alike. Yeah, this Flora we already talked about her potential to get 2 for 1, maybe even a 3 for 1, and this Panic may make those numbers go even higher. Panic was super important in the first round, and here we see Panic again, the high-strung imp putting in some work. And I want to mention this Aladdin quickly, JD, on Brian's side of the field. It is a shift character. I'm not sure if Brian's running any shift options, but the ability on play, all your characters get +2 strength that turn.
Absolutely, I think that would be huge, but he had to just put it out, and he also quests for 2. So you look at the stat line, he's a 1/4. Awesome card, and he can quest for 2. I think that's pretty good. So he didn't get the most out of it. Unfortunately for Aladdin there, you will be super vulnerable to the board that Ed has now. So just like that, Ed has taken control of this board.
JD, the stare. The famous Ed stare.
The famous patent-pending stare down. Look at that. Barely blinking. He is laser focused, and there is no tail. I love that, man. I love the tenacity. I love the approach. He's been there before.
Yeah, this is not Ed's first rodeo, as we talked about. DLC champion, the North American champion, currently reigning, defending. So Ed is no stranger to these high-pressure situations.
But honestly, all these players that are in this room right now had to do something to get to this moment. So they all are built a little bit different, as the kids say. As we're going to go ahead and pay, and we're going to bring out the Meg era. Look at that, 2-5 into the desperate plan. So you are going to get 3 new cards coming in. I like that play a lot. You're going to ink the library.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame to ink the library, but I think in this that was a pretty good turn there. We weren't really getting a lot of use out of it, and it could be quite quickly answered. I'd rather just draw a fresh hand. Is that Mr. Arrow in the hand? Very cool. Quest for 2 and resist 1.
And we do have that beautiful enchanted Yzma is in hand as well. As Aladdin's going to go and serve himself up for a quest. And let's see if Ed takes the bait and go and clears this 2 questing, 1 for Aladdin right now. Pass it back on over. Both players hanging on to the Madam M Elephant. We are still a few ink away from the Basil.
But yeah, this Yzma, a really great draw engine. You may exert and draw up to 3 cards. Well, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. So really nice. I think she quests for 2 as well. Down comes that Basil that we already mentioned, bouncing the Meg back to Brian's hand. And now this Basil is threatening to discard from Brian every time he quests. So Brian may be incentivized to empty his hand here.
Absolutely, and that stat line is quite impressive. Well, at a 5/4 quest for 2,
right.
You can bounce and send. That is an insane card. And I didn't think he had what it took to get there. We talked about that a few turns ago. But Ed planned it all out, got this Basil down onto the board, and now Brian, who has a pretty powerful hand, a lot of cards in hand, I should say. Is there going to be enough to deal with this Basil in an appropriate amount of time before he can take tremendous value?
Yeah, pretty much a full grip in Brian's hand. We are going to ink that Mr. Arrow, and we're going to separate our ink a little bit. Considering what the Aladdin wants to do, looks like we're going to pay 3 and put down that Meg once again. You think you need Hades on board to trigger her ability? I think it gives her Challenger? I'll double check that.
Yeah, when Hades is on board.
It's definitely a Hades-related ability. I'll double check the exact text on that. But yeah, Brian working out how he's going to deal with this quite established board for Ed on the other side of the field. But yeah, Mega, a part of the plan is her sub-name.
I think at this point, you just see Meg, you see the stats, you see how much she costs, and you're putting her in the deck, I think, at this point.
She's a 2/5, right?
Yeah, 2/5. You can't beat that. Well, you can, but I think that's a very, very playable card in this format. So go ahead and get to the top deck. It's going to be the Gazelle. So now you can give your own Basil evasive this next turn. If you're going to this Gazelle, no need to ink, as you have all the ink you could possibly need, I would only assume.
And here we are, we're discarding a random card from Brian's hand, courtesy of the Basil quest. So we're just going to shuffle. They're going to associate numbers with the cards, and so that we have a complete random discard here. And goodbye to a 4-cost vanilla character. But yeah, just finish that point. Mega, when you have a character named Hades, she gains Challenger 2. I knew it was Hades and Challenger, I just wasn't sure of the number. But yeah, pretty solid character with that 5 willpower. You know, sitting there, got a couple of quests. 2 strength is actually more relevant than you might think as well for some characters. So
and who knows? Brian could very well have a Hades in the deck and bring it down and get that Challenger to happen right now.
I saw that round 1, that Hades putting in a lot of work for Mr. Zanzai Ed.
Absolutely, absolutely. If we do come on down with the Gazelle and we're able to give our Basil evasive for the next turn, so there's a very high likelihood that Basil's going to get another quest in and then be able to discard another card. So I'd like to see Brian go ahead and start to try to maybe potentially play around that effect by putting 2 characters in the field to play right now.
Yeah, and especially when you've got the Yzma right, and you can just keep well, I say keep, but you don't know how long she's going to stay on the board after you turn her sideways. But the Meg is a way to replenish cards. We're going to ink Rail, which is a shame. She's a super solid card. Whenever you ink, you may ready one of your characters, which is a really nice ability, and she quests for 2.
For sure, and we do get the Yzma out onto the field to play as well. Now let's see what this Madam M Elephant's going to do.
Yeah.
Madam M Elephant, go ahead and clears that fauna, and now it's going to be hanging on to some damage. So that's going to be high priority for Ed to kind of get off the board, because that is typically going to be some removal, as you're going to be able to trigger the Madam M Elephant's ability to, at the start of your turn, you may move up to 2 damage counters from this character to chosen opposing character. So that will be the end of the Gazelle next turn with the Madam M Elephant.
Yeah, 100%. We saw the power of this Aladdin coming down, giving +2 strength to 2 characters and allowing us some really nice challenges. And of course, this Madam M Elephant being able to move damage counters, as you say, JD, that could certainly add up and help us take out this Basil.
But Basil is evasive this turn due to Gazelle, so he won't be able to get into it right now. But that is something that Brian's going to really be looking forward to next turn. So now this thing is going back and forth, and for all my super sealed haters right now, you gotta be kind of eating some crow, because this has been some game. There has been some serious back and forth, and decisions had to be made to get to this point in the game. So this is pretty impressive as we get the Elsa is going to hit the board. Elsa, which...
So this one is you may pay to exert an opposing character. I need to double check how much you need to pay exactly, but I think it's 1. I'll double check that. We'll double check that. We want to be as accurate as we can with information. Of course, we've been studying as hard as we can for this particular section of the event. We're doing our best. Yeah, this Anna. Oh no, this Elsa, sorry, is whenever this character quests, if you have a character named Anna in play,
that's right.
Gain 1 lore. Yeah, there is another Elsa that isn't the 5th spirit that can exert for paying a cost, but that's not this one.
You know what, Baker? They got to give us a break. Okay, there are 10 million Elsas in this game, okay? And we are doing our very best. So people at home,
they need to let it go. Is that what you're saying? Would you put it that way?
They need to let it go. We'll send them into the unknown. How's that sound? Okay?
What a pleasure to hear you, mate.
I love it. I absolutely love it. This is amazing. As we do get that Gizmo's ability to go off, and we are going to get a big board flood in, but it did trigger that Madam M Elephant's ability, I think. Is that mandatory or not?
So I think it's optional.
Okay.
I didn't see it trigger. Of course, we did extend there, playing down the Hey and a Bolt as well.
Absolutely. So we are going to go ahead and leave Ed with just that, with the Bianca and the honey lemon up and active. We play the Bianca, we'll pass back on over. We do have another Aladdin, so we can potentially shift that Aladdin. That's something to look out for.
It is a May, just to confirm the Madam Elephant. It can be missed. And now Aladdin, yes, we do have that shift option available for that Floodborn Aladdin that we've seen a couple of times. But Brian's board looking a bit carried away here with Ed playing off the top of the deck, just a honey lemon. Shout out to Ali Sweet, I know she's a big fan of honey lemon, cosplayed as her recently, and this Miss Bianca, who does like an ally.
Absolutely, and that is, I think this is kind of where it gets away because we talked about this game, I believe, came down to that card draw. That Desperate Plan was huge. The Gizmo was huge. I think the Queen was huge. I think there were a lot of cards that Brian just had access to this time that worked out. Ed really just couldn't get to the card draw. We were able to get some pluses through challenging, and we were able to get some pluses through that Basel effect, but it just was not enough. As it seems like this is going all Brian. We got a double Yzma.
Oh, and we have the Jafar, the Thai Sultan of Lorcana is in the house, JD. I want to see it. I want to see it.
He's popping off. Is it going to happen? He is absolutely popping off right now. And I'm telling you right now, Baker, I think they can hear. Can they hear?
Probably.
They'll be okay. They're locked in on another level. We're far enough away.
That's production's problem. They know me by now. They'll deal with it, I'm sure.
I'm sure you are giving Cameron a field day right now. Shout out to the direction team.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to everyone involved in this huge event. And we'll continue to shout them out over the course of the day. But right now, there'll be card games. And this move Fasters, another card they're putting a lot. And that's it. We're going to put go on.
We got it. And we got it done. I mean, Ed came out on the play and just kind of ran out of steam as Brian did everything he needed to. Like I said, I think his deck was just popping off there. We saw the Aladdin, we saw the Ruby. I know a lot of people thought Ruby might not be the way to go, but Ruby was quite good. And now we have this side decking portion. So side deck, we can kind of look at the decks a little bit.
Yes. Can I now talk about a card that's in the side deck?
We can. You can. Please.
I wanted to bring this up at the beginning, and then JD was like, "No, that's in the sideboard, man. Leave that." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, bro." But yes, in the sideboard for Edmond Chiu, we have Badanon Villain Support Center. I am bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be
and I believe,
than me.
Yo, I like locations in this format. Get a location down. Granted, they don't have that body. They can't contest with the board. But sometimes you have big static characters like you see Ed does have. We are getting a nice little sneak peek of the build right there as both players are able to look at each other's decks again, but they will not have access to what cards are being sided in.
Oh, the Mickey Mouse Food Fight Defender, a favorite of Spessy. Underestimating him is a recipe for disaster. Shout out to Spessy, love you, buddy.
Let's go. Let's go. Oh, man, look at that. How would you fit? What would you do, Baker? I got to ask you.
Panic.
No. Okay, after you panicked, okay, you cleaned up Mom Spaghetti, what are you doing? How would you attack this thing? What would be your plan?
Okay, so for a start, obviously these players, they've got a limited pool, right, in their sealed deck, but they've probably made their decisions hoping for some sort of synergies, and of course, with it being open deck list, they've really got to respect some of these, like, board breaker cards. Like, going back to match one, again, it was an absolute masterclass between Frank and Zan. We saw a card called Restoring the Crown, which is so huge, exerting all opposing characters, and whenever you banish an opposing character in a challenge, you gain 2 law. That's just one example. Anything that can exert, like an Elf Surge, like these big, powerful cards that you really need to be aware of that your opponent might have. That being said, how often do you play around a one-off?
I think you gotta respect it. I think you have to. I think in a 50-card deck, I think if you set yourself up like the Bianca and the Orville, we saw how consistent that was in the previous round, and we saw that Brian is playing a shift line with the Aladdin. I think with 50-card deck, I'm not a mathematician. We gotta get Frank Carson back in here with his mathematics PhD. Let's get him to run the numbers. But I believe you have the 7-card altar and you play, enough turns, you draw enough cards. Potentially, you could see a lot of your synergy pieces. So I think maybe. My initial impression, I was trying to stay away from the synergy stuff, just play individually valuistic, good cards. But I think that maybe you can probably set some of those synergies up, some Floodborn, some Shift. Like if I get a gem and a gem, I'm playing both gems, and I'm hoping that I can get that Shift to go off.
Jim Hawkins, a shout out to the Treasure Island, Treasure Planet, sorry, based on Treasure Island, Treasure Planet fans, an absolute fantastic film. And we just saw Brian looking over the deck there and reading the Kuzco Temporary Whale, which is a really interesting card. 5 cost uninkable, 1/4, quest for 2, and once during your turn, when a card is put into your inkwell, you can return a chosen character, item, or location with a cost 2 or less to their player's hand. And that player draws a card. Nice to have the option to be able to upset your opponent's tempo or quest with your own 2-drop, bounce it back, draw a card, play it back down. We could see this card put into work today, JD.
Absolutely. I think and how much do you value inkability in this 50 card format?
A lot. I like, again, depending on what you open, right? Like, if you get a load of genies and, like, it's hard to not play cards like that, but in my head, like, I would not be wanting to play more than sort of 5, 6 uninkables. You know, again, I'm waiting for these World Championship players to prove me wrong. You know, we might see a 15 uninkable deck later on today, who knows? But yeah, uninkable cards. If you lose to Lorcana, you have the option once per turn to put a card from your hand into your inkwell. And this inkwell is what acts as the resources to allow you to pay for your other cards. However, to ink a card, it must have the inkable flourish in the top left-hand corner. If it does not, it means that card cannot be inked under any, well, I was going to say under any circumstances. If you're playing Sapphire, then there are cards that allow you to ink non-inkables, but that's generally the way it works.
Okay. Just doing a little bit of cutting here and shuffling. The players are getting ready to roll. Checking each other's decks. The sideboarding is complete. The stare down is staring away. I like that. A little bit of patent pending, a little respect to the players. As we're just going to do a little tap there coming in from Brian. I like to see that too.
Yeah, no, obviously these guys, no strangers to top tables, and like the World's players have been here for a couple of days, doing all sorts of like media and stuff like that, you know, really enjoying the VIP experience provided by Walt Disney and the Disney Lorcana trading card game. So, and they've all seen each other's lists as well, like this is completely open, they've been studying, but this is sealed.
Absolutely, and to that point, man, I thought that these players would have a lot more separation, a lot more quiet. I think you do you, I'ma do me, but there was like a lot of camaraderie, a lot of respect prior to this. The team breakfast, or excuse me, the player breakfast, and just seeing everyone hang out together as friends.
Absolutely.
Typically, how you see the DLC, because they are competitors in the most competitive tournament you're probably ever going to play in your life. But still, there's good energy all around. Everyone has a deep amount of respect for each other, and I think that is really cool and indicative of what we expect when we see Disney Lorcana. So everyone tuning in at home, this is a primary example of what you tune in and what you play and what is to be expected as a Disney Lorcana player, as these players that are in this tournament are great ambassadors for the game as well.
Oh, you're right. Disney Lorcana trading card game taking over the world as far as I'm concerned. I'm so honored
But a whole new world.
There's a reason you're here, JD. I knew it, my friend. Anyway, going on to game 2, Brian is going to be on the play once again. So this time we do see Rudy play. He doesn't hit the inkwell, so Brian's groove not been thrown off yet.
He is another one-cost character. I like to see that Rudy get his. You know what? I don't think I've ever seen a Rudy into the field of play before in a competitive tournament like this. I'm glad to see that sealed as part of this thing. You see a lot of these beautiful cards get their time in the sun.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Super Sealed, right? You get to like play and see cards that you wouldn't ordinarily in the most competitive meta. We see Grandmother Far coming down. A cricket just for luck is not going to be necessary this time because you're into the inkwell love. And down comes Mr. Arrows.
Mr. R.I.P. Mr. Arrow. He did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong.
Screw why? As you do get that Calhoun on too, who can be a good board fighter. That is a great card for this format, as Calhoun was going to spring into the field play on 2 almost instantly. Calhoun, Marine, Sergeant has resist 1, and when she challenges and banishes the character, you gain 2 lore. I think that is a very impressive card.
Oh, she's been pretty much in the Lorcana meta game since her release. We do see, I think it's King Hubert from Sleeping Beauty. I think it's Hubert.
That is King Hubert.
There we go.
Impressive,
big boy.
Impressive stat line.
Yep.
He is thick, big body, quest for 1. Look at him, feeling good. Whose dad is that? I think that's Prince Phil's dad.
I think it's Aurora's.
Aurora's dad. Okay.
I think no, you're right. It's Philip's dad. No,
Okay.
you're right,
Okay.
Richard. It's Philip's dad. Yeah.
Okay, we're locked in on another level. Okay.
Yeah.
We're speaking the same language.
We'll
I
get that. Who's coming down here? We do see King Hubert hitting the board 3-4, quite a big body for a 3-cost character, and of course Calhoun capped at 3 strength, and which I think is going to check Brian here for the Mr. Arrow and the Rudy. You definitely don't want to give up a nice challenge from the Calhoun and allow the lore gain that she provides.
But you might have to run the numbers and see if there's some value there, because you could potentially exert a character, come back in with the Hubert, and then you're on your way. But then you'd be running right into a potential another setup, depending on what Ed has for this next play.
Yeah, 100%. Jim Hawkins, the cabin boy, is going to go into the Inkwell. He gains Challenger 2 for every time you put a card into your Inkwell. Pretty interesting, the 4 willpower. Just nice cheap body. Rudy and Mr. Arrow are indeed going to go on a quest. So it's like you just said, JD, we are willing to sort of give Ed this nice challenge to be able to come back with the King Hubert and remove this Calhoun, who is putting a lot of pressure on the board.
Absolutely. But we get into, well, let's go down to the Inkwell. It looks like we're just going to go ahead and take that challenge here. Gain your lore, get your plus value when you can, because that's a clean plus, as Calhoun will take no damage due to her resist ability, resist keyword. We'll get the Drizella down here.
Yes, one of the wicked stepsisters. This is the vanilla one. There is another wicked stepsister in this set.
Anastasia.
Yeah, who can provide. She's a 3/1, and when she's challenged, your opponent discards. But this Drizella, just a nice 4/4 beat stick.
Yes, 4. So now there is the gamesmanship that we just kind of talked about, Baker. If you go King Hubert into the Calhoun, I'm going Drizella into the King Hubert, and there is that board fight that we kind of look for. And how these players negotiate these turns are what's going to determine the winner. I think these are critical turns that you kind of have to look out for.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to see Gale go into the Inkwell, which can return to your hand when banished in a challenge. There's a few cards in this format that can return to your hand when banished, like the Gale. There's Yzma Cat, which can return to your hand if you've got more cards in your hand than your opponent. And obviously, in this sort of setup where you're just prioritizing resources and having as many cards as possible, something like that, even if you just then ink it, it can put in a lot of value. Down comes the Aladdin, JD.
And it also quests for 2. Aladdin can base a boost a character. We are going to get strong here, and I think that will make this Rudy strong enough to clear this Calhoun. Let's go ahead and see if we do that, or will we just go ahead and take out the Calhoun with the King Hubert? Decisions.
Yeah, interesting. We are still going to go in with the King Hubert. Gets +2 strength from the Aladdin. Unnecessary for the Calhoun, who does have resist, but only 2 willpower. And it looks like Rudy's going on a quest.
Absolutely. We are still going along, trying to get to that 7 ink. I think that's going to be the threshold to get to this Vincenzo. I see Ed having it, trying to hang on to it. Maybe you can prioritize that. You have a nice little group of characters in your hand to continue to ink. We have that Monstro, the non-monster as well. We have the, I believe that's Camilo Madrigal. We have the Panic is in hand as well. So a lot of choices here.
Stop panicking.
I'm panicking. I'm freaking out.
We're panicking all day. Drizella is going to throw off Brian's groove. I'm sorry, why Breezy? Shout out to Breezy. The groove has been run off, and Monstro is going into the Inkwell.
Huge turn. These panics have been insane.
It's so good today.
It is a whole.
Who needs Genie? Who needs Genie?
Who needs Belle? Okay, who needs Rapunzel? We have Panic. Everybody's panicking. I think if I get a Panic, I'm throwing it in my deck almost immediately, and that card has had tremendous value. Now you have Healer Drizella, and you'll be able to check into the Aladdin as well. So Ed is looking strong again, but we saw Ed in a pretty strong spot in game number 1, and it kind of fell apart. Let's see if Brian can reduplicate some of that same magic.
Yeah, we'll see. Brian with a few cards in hand already, and Ed, is he playing off the top, or is he just put his hand face down?
His hand's face down.
Okay, I was going to say, we haven't played enough cards yet. That Yzma is back in the hand of Brian, though. That Enchanted, really nice draw engine. Mother Gothel is going to be inked, who can allow you, whenever you make a challenge, to move a damage counter from one character to another. But she's going to hit the Inkwell and fuel the big hey-hey.
Let's go. Big body hey-hey. Another pretty much stable card we've seen. I expect to see a lot more hey-heys coming into the next round of Super Sealed, as we are still shuffling that Vincenzo, inking and playing and hoping that we can get that bad boy into the field of play. I think that might be the one that can kind of tear this game wide open, as we want to send both of our characters into this hey-hey before he can do tremendous damage. We'll bring down the Camilo Madrigal as well before tossing back on over to Brian, who's going to be making a decision with this lad now. 4/4 quest for 2.
Yeah, it's a pretty good stat line, to be fair. Ed, with only 2 cards left in hand, passes over to Brian, just has the Aladdin left, but is at 7 lore, so currently in control of the game. We have another one. The Protective Rooster. Who's the boat snack now?
And I'm trying to tell you, Ed showed no sign of effect, but I'm telling you, if I see that second hey coming down, I'm tilted. I'm losing it. I'm coming unstowed. I'm like, come on
He's
now.
flipping the
No,
tables.
I'm putting my hand on my head. I'm scratching my hand. I'm like, come on, man. Let's be real. As we are going to go ahead and send the Camilo into the hey, do 4 damage, and we can.
Returns to the hand.
And look at that. He's here.
Vincenzo, the explosives expert on play. You do 3, count them, 3 damage to a chosen character. And look at that body for Vincenzo, JD.
It's a 2-8. That's a huge.
That's for 3.
That's for 3. 2-8. I think 2-8 is so funny to look at for some reason. I don't know why. I'd rather 1-9. I like the Aladdin that's 1-9, but Chenzo had a 2-8 quest for 3, splash 3 damage, pinging 3 damage on impact. So that is a really cool high tempo card. As he was able to clear that hey, no problem. So getting through 2 hey, you have that Camilo Madrigal that can bounce itself back to hand. I think that is incredible. So huge Vincenzo up who can get into the rest of these characters. We're going to go ahead and slash 2 more. We're getting loose. We got Camilo and another Don Carnage down into the field of play. Pass back on over to Brian.
Should have given Reckless there. No, we got to play an action first to give Reckless.
Correct.
Yeah, this Don Carnage stuff does have evasive though. We're going to bring down an illusion, the magic carpet. Your illusion characters get Challenger 1.
For sure, and we have that problematic Yzma again, as we saw have some great effect. Previously, I think the Enchanted Watch is on par as we're going to go ahead and get her to reveal her ability. We're going to trigger her ability. It's going to be, what is it? I can't quite tell. We have, there it is. We got the library in hand.
Okay, library. There's a double trouble. Deal 1 damage to up to 2 chosen characters. That goes into the Inkwell this time. But we mentioned earlier, one damage is pretty significant in this format. There are a few characters where that would be enough. And Yzma providing that draw engine as well. But yeah, Vincenzo, a fantastic new card from Reign of Jafar, an explosives expert for the Palace Heist, JD, the Illumineers quest.
Absolutely. And we had the opportunity to play some Palace Heist.
We had a lot of fun.
And if you haven't played Palace Heist, I'm telling you, it is a very, very fun experience, man. I had such a good time with it. Getting Jafar all the way up out of here as we have saved Arcade.
I took that personally. But nonetheless, Brian slowing down, recognizing a really pivotal turn here. How does he want to manipulate it? But yeah, this Camilo, we didn't actually read. Oh, down comes the library. That is huge. Do we have enough ink to move anything to it?
Yes.
Did the Yzma go in?
The Yzma is in the library. I think that is perfect because she already triggered her ability once. You got your 3 cards off, and now she's firmly nestled into Belle's library. If you guys don't know library, when a character is banished in the library, you get to draw a card, and I think you have to clear the Yzma. I think you have to.
Yeah, and it's providing such good card draw, but can you get rid of the library first? We only have 4, 5, 6. We can take out the library this turn, to be fair, but then we are allowing the Yzma to use her ability. Again, this Camilo, we didn't mention the ability earlier. When banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand. 4/4 quest for 2. This is a really solid seal card.
I like it a lot. It is kind of giving yourself a little bit of negative tempo, but more often than not, he is going to be able to challenge and banish a character in the process. So, while he is also being banished, so I think that is a pretty neat card for this format. As now decisions need to be made by Ed Chiu, who is pondering. Give your opponent a card now, give him the lore now, or wait, let's see if we're going to go for it. And we will go for it, making that pretty easy decision, getting that Yzma off the board. And
1 card's better than 3, right?
Yeah, for sure. As we are going to bring out the Basil and bounce the magic carpet back to the hand. Leaving the library up alone. It does gain lore in the process just for being stagnant. If you're asking questions why the library is horizontal, it's because it's a location, okay? It is very different from a character if you're just new to the game. So we're trying to make sure the players who are new to Disney Lorcana also understand what's going on along with the players who have been following the competitive season all year. So we're just trying to make it a nice wide array for everyone.
The Disney Lorcana trading card game is for everybody, and we want everyone to get involved in this beautiful game that's captured our hearts. But yeah, the library also gaining 1 lore at the beginning of your turn in the set phase of Ready, Set, Draw. Brian at 14 lore, but Ed kind of has the board here. Can Brian contend it with these couple of characters? We'll see.
And you really got to do something about this Vincenzo Santorini. I'm telling you right now, that 8 is a lot to get through. And I don't know if, with just your board, it's completely empty right now. It's going to be very difficult to get through that. This guy's questing for 3 Baker. And now he's not even the biggest threat. You have this Basil there.
Who is discarding your hand every turn.
Ripping your hand. So this thing is a long way from over. Brian shuffling those cards together. Ed, patient as ever, hands on the table, looking firm as we are going to play.
We get Cash Keem from Atlantis.
You went for it.
Yeah, from Atlantis, which is a beautiful, beautiful Disney film.
I love that film.
Flower in the Inkwell. We're going to move Cash Keem into the library. Studying is good.
Absolutely, he's going to be there as another threat, but I think the library might be time to go. As we have this Kronk, I believe that's the Kronk that's going to be there. Carefree is his name. Carefree on vacation.
I'm not sure of the sub name. I'll double check that. But the ability is when you would discard, you don't. At which point you probably say, "Oh yeah," and they'll come together.
And what's also important about this card, he has Ward, so he cannot be chosen. He cannot be chosen. He's going to be there, and he also quests for 2. Notice the theme of this format. You're questing for 2. Ed's board is questing for a bunch. 2, 4, 7, 9 coming in from the North American Continental Champion side of the field. As Brian has to start to kind of feel the door closing a bit. We get to that queen again.
Nice.
We're getting close. Is there any princess in the discard pile right now?
Not that I've seen. Calhoun, unfortunately, is not a princess. She could in your heart.
In my heart, she is.
Calhoun is a princess. But yeah, to your point, JD, Ed doing a fantastic job of matching Brian's 15 lore and has control of the board. We are representing game 2 lore on both the Basil and the Kronk and the Camillo, and of course that Vincenzo, who's been dominating since he came down. No damage on him, still questing for 3.
So is there a world where you can get some type of instant lore burst? We saw how effective that was in the previous game. Is there a world where we can get to see a White Rose potentially? Will that be enough?
An interactive lore game could come out of nowhere. Well, I say out of nowhere again. They've seen each other's lists, right? But
I don't know how good is your memory? I mean,
don't ask me that, JD.
How good is your memory? They only had a few minutes to look at these deck lists, man, and it is it's a high pressure situation, so there might be
a little bit high pressure. The World Championship isn't the day to phone it in, really, is it?
Absolutely. As we're going to get that Kashim is going to go and trade it to this Basil. You'll get a card in the process with that as well. I think it's a very favorable exchange for you as a 3-cost character exchanges with a 7-cost character, and you gain a card in the process. We're going to go ahead and put the
He's a racer, I'll tell you that much, but does challenge in. Oh, that's it, yeah, we were able to challenge into Camillo, return to Ed's hand, but Brian sees the writing on the wall, cannot stop Ed from achieving game, so now we're 1-1 and going forward to a game 3. I like a game 3.
Absolutely. Nothing pumps me up more than a game 3, and if you guys are tuning in, you're not absolutely seat back, locked in the upright and locked position, preparing to take off, your frequency is not aligned, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
If you're tuning into this stream, you got a bad attitude and you're not laser focused right now, what are you doing? We have been waiting so long for this moment to happen right now. We have 2 of the game's best players on the field right now, locked in and laser focused for a game 3 for all the marbles. I mean, you guys saw the prizes. You guys know what's on the line here. You guys know, and it's the title, the entry. Oh my goodness, there's so much
prestige.
The prestige, the first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion will be crowned this weekend, Baker. So wake up.
When we are watching Disney Lorcana in 30 years, and I say watching because me and you will probably be...
No.
Well, let's not go into that, but hopefully we're here to witness the future generations, and they will look back on this first World Championship and say, hey, these players were amazing, those casters were having fun.
Yeah, they were okay. The players were really good. The broadcast team, they're all right.
They were enjoying themselves. Let's give them that much. A beautiful backdrop is here. I feel like we'd be rude to not draw a little bit of attention to the World Championship logo, the Mickey Mouse brave little tailor, and of course, the promo card that is representative of this whole event, a whole new world.
Absolutely. In typical Disney fashion, the attention to detail is fantastic. Again, I cannot thank this production team enough, which is all the beautiful, just the way the stream is looking and the way it sounds and the way it feels to be here. You guys can't see it, but there's just so much happening behind the scenes. This venue is beautiful. You guys, I'm sure, will see it sooner or later. And it's just an amazing experience, man. And we're so glad that we can bring this to you guys live. And for everyone who's tuning in, it is just such an incredible, beautiful experience as these players they've been working so hard, Baker, to be here.
Absolutely. These players have been building up to this for a long time. They've earned their right to be in this room today, which was no easy task. And they want to be the world champion. They want the glory. They want the pride. They want the prizes. Nothing wrong with that one. So I want them too, JD. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I'm going to get them, but I understand. But we're going into game 3, and it's really interesting how many 1-drops Brian does appear to be playing.
I'm trying to tell you, and the thing we got to eat some crows again, Baker, is that we're always saying, hey, who's on the play wins, who's on the play wins.
Look at this.
Both of these players have won on the draw.
They have. Sorry, JD, to cut you off, but Ed has not looked at his hand and is just staring down. Flashbacks of Ed versus Zan Zayed at Disney Lorcana Challenge, and the final turn, Ed just staring Zan in the face. A really legend, part of the lore of Lorcana already. And here we see Brian on the receiving end of that cold stare.
Oh man, I'm telling you, intimidation.
I would be intimidated.
Man, I'd be freaking. As he cracks a slight smile right there. I don't know if he can't hear it, but I think he cracks a great smile. Look at this.
He knows.
Look at
He
him.
knows exactly what he's doing.
And he's there. I like the camera stare too. As these players have all been here before, playing on stream in these high pressure situations. I'm not even on the field. I'm extremely nervous, Baker, just being here with all of you right now.
Absolutely, me too, brother. Honestly, like it's a big deal. We do want to say again what an honor it is to be here representing the commentary to communicate with you guys watching around the world. Still don't look at his hand.
He took a quick sneak peek.
Did he?
And passed on. We got Rudy back at it again. We got two Rudys. We got two Rudys. That's a foil Rudy.
The groove is back.
We're done.
Let's go. He's the king of the world.
And so we can go 1-for-1 here, and Mulan can come down on one, shake up the hand a little bit. Maybe sometimes you can save that Mulan and kind of clear up some of these high cost unangles from your hand. I think that's a very interesting thing, as you can draw one and discard one when you play this Sky Soldier. Mulan doing her thing, as we will kick the Walrus down. Just another big body, well-stared character as Tika. Tika is going to be on the field of play.
Tika, she's a big girl. She's from Moana, which is an absolutely beautiful film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what this one does exactly. I'm gonna just be completely honest. This one has. I am gonna.
It's Challenger. It's Challenger.
Okay. Thank goodness you're here, JD. I'll be cooked.
Hey, we're gonna get it. Okay, we're gonna get. I know we're probably getting blasted in the chat right now. I can't see it, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm batting like an 8 out of 10. That's got to count for something. As we bring out the.
Doing our best.
we bring out the grandmother Fa out to the field of play, who's going to be able to increase the strength a little bit whenever she quests.
Yeah, and she's questing for 2 as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, Grandmother Far from Mulan, fantastic character. Fear will get you hurt, luck will get you through. That's a beautiful line. That's one inspirational line.
That is deep and powerful. As we bring that Elsa back to the field, I think you're going to need a little bit of support from another character before you get the maximization of her ability, as it looks like we have a nice little Don Carnage potentially coming down on next turn. Both of these players trying to be the first one to actually win on the play. As we bring out the flower as well, another 3/3 character. Ed checking the hand. We have the Diablo, as you say.
You can call me Flower if you want to. But yeah, there's Diablo, 2 cards to Ingable, 1-2 evasive and Challenger 2. JD is cracked. I broke him. Our JD is broken, guys. I think I need a new one. But yeah, Flower, a new card from the Reign of Jafar, and along with all the Bambi characters that we got. Oh, we know Liam's a big fan of that Bambi as well.
Absolutely, and I still think back about that Bambi, and when it first got revealed, I think that card is amazingly beautiful. It is stunning. We do have that Aladdin's going to find his way down to the Inkwell almost immediately, as we will bring out the Gaston.
Gaston! Yeah, this Gaston pretty interesting. You can banish one of your own items to get +2 strength for the I think it's just for the turn.
Absolutely, and I think his name is Arrogant Show Off. You know, holding that amber piece there as he's tearing apart the crown, I believe. As we're going to kick it back on over. Maybe I think you're thinking about questing here potentially.
Potentially, take this magical stone, you'll need it to keep up with me. Yes, the whole crew coming together to try and end the Reign of Jafar, which I think is really rude.
I mean, I think the Reign of Jafar is a bridge too far. I think they got to kind of separate a little bit. When I'm against you, it's fine, but when he's against all of us, I think we got to go. We got to do something about that.
Jafar reigns. Let's just stay in Reign of Jafar forever. We don't need Fabled. I'm happy how things are. No, I'm joking. I want to see Fabled. Goofy movie, to be fair. I wouldn't want to deny that.
Let's go. It's going to happen as we get a quest in with the flower, so that is a little bit of a decision. This is a sticking point. Some we're going to have to look back at depending on how this game shakes out, as the flower is going to get a quest in. So now Ed is going to have to be on the approach to try to break this board again, as both players have done an incredible job so far of being able to accost the opposition's board, as we're going to get the grandmother father quest in as well.
This grandmother father has been putting in work so far. You love to see it. But yeah, this flower, we talked about him a couple of times, but I haven't actually mentioned the ability. Looking for friends. Whenever you play another character, you can look at the top card of your deck and put it either on the top or the bottom of your deck, which is a pretty nice, just passive ability to have on the board.
Absolutely.
Of course, like when you're trying to dig, especially when you've got a lot of one-offs, presumably in a sealed deck, you know, you want to find your high-cost characters when you need them, those powerful actions, etc. We've got Mad Dog coming down.
The Mad Dog doing his thing. Mad Dog. And we're going to clear that grandmother Fox Quest for 2 quite easily, as the Gaston sitting at a 4-4 will be able to get loose and active if needed. I like this Mother Gotham Quest. She's going to find a way to the Inkwells. We got Ariana. Ariana is another really, really strong character. 5-5 quest for 2. She's big. She can engage with this Mad Dog if needed. If you have a character named Don Carnage in play, you pay 1 less to play this character. And there is some synergies there. We talked about that. Don Carnage is part of the strategy as well.
100%, and both players having this Ariana. Yeah, she's certainly a big girl questing for 2. In dark times, a crown is a weighty honor we must bear with grace and courage. Such inspirational quotes on these flavor texts.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, some words to live by. I'm like some fortune cookies as well. It makes you a better person.
Lorcana fortune cookies.
I think
Ravensburger, we can make you $1 million.
There you go. You know, you're feeling bad. You read some of this flavor. You're like, oh, you know what? I don't feel so bad anymore. As Ariana, the queen of Corona, is doing her thing. You've got the mirror staring down, as Ariana is going to go ahead and get a quest in. If you want to challenge to my Ariana, that's totally fine, as we are going to send the Tekka into the field of play. Challenger 2 with a 5-6. Look at that stat line quest for 2. Ed might be in trouble. Can you get out of this? As we'll take that trade almost instantly and go double dip to chip. We have Diablo and Archimedes, 2 evasive characters questing for 2 and 1.
Yeah, and important for Ed to take that trade there. Brian already at 6 lore, can't allow. Probably doesn't feel like a great trade, but you have to slow Brian down and get that big body out of here. And both players running low on resources, trying to protect their board as best they can and hope that their tops are are kind to them. Ed does have a couple of cards. That Donald Duck is certainly interesting, the pirate, but we're going to see the Hey come down, not in bodyguard.
Interesting, but you do have 2 evasive characters now. Maybe you're trying to protect that Hey because you're going to need that Hey to engage in this Tekka, I believe.
Yeah, the Tekka would get a nice challenge into that, so it makes sense.
I like that play a lot, and this the Hey and the Diablo together can challenge and banish that Tekka, and then you'll have an evasive 2-lore quester in the field of play still. So this might be a problem here for Brian, who has 1 card in hand. I can't make out what that is. It looks like, is that double trouble?
It looks like double trouble, yes. 1 damage to up to 2 chosen characters, and I will say this as often as I can. 1 damage can really matter.
Yeah.
Again, it could be the final damage you need. And again, there are a fair few interesting characters in this format that only have a 1 willpower. So nice to see the players including these sort of cards. And now we come to our slowdown part of the match.
Yeah.
Right, we're reaching that really pivotal turn.
Absolutely. I call it critical mass, where you got everything you need, you got the board set up. Now you got to think. Okay, the first, typically, especially in the constructed game, the first 5 or 6 turns are kind of on script. You know, everything happens the way you think. When you get to that 6th turn, 7th turn, kind of like where we are right now. Now you got to think, because your resources are going to dwindle. You see Brian's holding 1 card in hand, and I believe has 2. This is where the decisions need to be made. This is the moment where champions are made right here, as both players hand on face. We got to stare down to the camera from Ed as Brian's completely locked in. Okay, they're still trying to figure some things out as we are going to go ahead and reveal the Madam M elephant. I think they're just having some a little bit of discussion.
Yep, no, the elephant going into the inkwell, and Brian just deciding how he wants to handle this turn. Obviously, evasive going on for the Archimedes and the Diablo. The Tekka could go on a quest, I guess, fairly safely. The Hey can't trade into it. Of course, Brian may be respecting some cards that might be in Ed's deck that could boost the strength in some way. Or maybe even there are cards where if you've already got damage on a character, then you can do damage to them. So, like the Bonsai, I'm pretty sure has that ability where you do 2 damage to a damaged character, and there might be a couple of other things in here.
Does Ed have the Cheshire Cat in hand? Or in deck, excuse me. All right, so it looks like we're just having a little slowdown here as Brian is still trying to piece things together. Potentially going on a quest with this Tekka, and you do make that Tekka a little bit vulnerable. You have the Hey and Diablo can come in and challenge together and take out the Tekka. All right, so we're going to go ahead and ready all the characters now, and Ed now has to make a decision. Are you trying to race, or are you going to get into this car right now? Shuffling the two cards in hand, I can't quite make out what they are.
Okay, so just to confirm with the audience there was a judge call there, Brian mistaking one of the cards in his inkwell for a card in hand and did reveal it. So there was you're not allowed to look at cards in your inkwell unless a card tells you can. So there was a short judge call there, and it has just been a warning for Brian. So
Okay.
nothing too bad. Obviously, you want to be careful that these warnings don't stack up, but we know Brian, the accidents happen. Just give a warning, continue.
And keep it moving. It is an accident. I mean, these are humans. I mean, people do make mistakes, so nothing malicious, nothing intentional.
Even Illumineers are indeed human.
Everyone will make a mistake.
Absolutely.
So no harm, no foul, as everything is everything, as we are going to go ahead and put that double trouble down to the inkwell with the desert plane off the top. Wow! What a card!
Huge,
What a card! No tilt coming in from North American champ, but I'm losing my mind if I see that desert plane off the top.
We draw into an Elsa, the Gale, and I think that Queen Jealous Beauty, which could be a nice closer. Although Ed's board is starting to build, and again, evasives and bodyguards, going to be kind of tricky. Down comes the Jealous Beauty.
And I don't believe there are any princesses in the discard pile right now for Ed, which is fortunate for you because that is a lot of lore that is being represented. But Ed electing to hit the gas pedal and start to try to run this race instead of challenging into this car, I think that's another critical decision point that a player had to make there.
Yeah, 100%. We've reached that point in the game where, I mean, every turn matters from the very beginning, right? But some turns are certainly more significant than others, and this is a tricky board state to manipulate. T-Car is going to challenge into the hey-hey. We're going to put 4 damage on that T-Car, and then Rudy is still grooving out, going on a little quest and bringing Brian up to 11 lore to Ed's 8.
And it looks like we get into the Stitch. Steel Stitch is going to be in hand, who can sling some damage as well, as we will go ahead and clear 2 characters onto the board. I believe T-Car is going to fall there. Pass it back on over to Brian now, who's got this queen up and active, ready to exert her ability. We have that magic carpet. We have the Gale. Is this going to be enough? I don't know.
Can we just extend here? And like, obviously, this queen can get us to at least 14. I'm not sure if there are any princesses. There was that 5-cost character, the quest for 2. Is that a princess?
That's Ariana. I believe she is a queen.
She's a queen.
She's queen status. So I don't.
Slay queen.
I don't think she's going to be able to. She's not a princess, but I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Queen.
Still 3 lore available from the Queen, though, as a potential. And this magic carpet comes down. Quest for 2 does give challenge of 1 to your illusions, but didn't mention earlier, and important to say, the vanish keyword, JD. If this character is targeted by an action, banished, but gone. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Your illusions are fake.
But honestly, if I see an illusion in my card pool, I think I might request it. I might add it to my deck because there aren't a lot of targeting actions in the card pool. There are some, but there are not that many to the point where an illusion character typically has a high upside with a high low side as well in that vanishing ability.
Oh, I love illusions.
I play him here.
I want to see this high sultan that I've been teased by it. The high sultan of Lorcana is in the deck. Well, it was. Maybe it's been sideboarded out. And some synergy with illusions, obviously. You may, when every quest, you may draw and discard a card. And if you discard an illusion, how much do you think you have to pay to play it? It's a bargain, I'll tell you that much. Free, JD. You can jump in. It's free. You can play it completely for free. Down comes Gale.
Gale, and that's another character that will send itself back to the hand. We talked about it earlier. A little bit of hidden resource value there. Not going to your discard pile, back to your hand. You can ink it later if you need to, or continue to play it to the board in quest. Checking for a princess. We'll get a princess alert here. Was there Mulan played earlier? I believe there was not.
Yes,
okay.
there is.
Okay.
Yeah, the turn 1 Mulan. In 2 games, Ed played that. So there is indeed a princess. That means the queen can go to 15. And then we have another 4 lore courtesy of the carpet and the Gale. All to do with wind, which would bring us up to 19. Jealous Beauty is going to take a challenge, though, into that Donald Duck, wanting to slow Ed's potential down.
Absolutely. You will make that queen vulnerable, but I think that's a pretty good trade because you will get that plus value. So favoring a little bit of board fight instead of the lore burst, I think might be the way to go. Another critical decision point. A critical decision point. I mean, some people might have exerted that ability there, and then that could potentially possibly change the outcome of the game.
You're right. You're right. Making good challenges is a big part of Lorcana, but here's a situation, JD, where again, the Queen has that 2 damage on her. If we had a ping for 1, that would be huge, because obviously you're expecting this Queen to trade with whatever takes her out, right?
Absolutely.
So 1 damage can really matter in Lorcana.
Talk about a dump truck right now. We saw Ed discard the dump truck earlier. How clutch would a dump truck be off the top right now? Okay, so all right, so we are contemplating here, Ed, deep in the think tank, maybe thinking about setting up this Stitch right now, or maybe you have that giant Mickey as well. That's not the giant Mickey. That is a Mickey Mouse. I can't quite make out which one it is.
And you would need to see. We will find. Oh, I see it. I think it's Resist. I have a feeling it's Resist. We'll definitely see if it ends up getting played, but I think we're definitely coming to the last turn, or a couple of turns of the game. 11 all for both Brian and Ed. We are just going to go on quests with everything on Ed's side of the board. So that's another 5 lore, bringing us up to 16. Down comes that Mickey Mouse, who quests for 2.
Boom, there he is. Big body Mickey doing his thing. I can't make out what those cards are that are in hand. It looks like Brian is starting to feel the pressure of Ed's board. It is massive. Again, having these evasive characters, that is a clutch to this metagame. I think having the Panic on board, clutch to this metagame. We have that Mickey Mouse, clutch to this game. This is looking great for the North American champion, but the stare down has been engaged. We have Brian double hand on head, staring down the board, trying to find the line. Is it good enough? We will see.
So this Mickey Mouse Night Watch, your character's named Pluto, game resist 1.
There it is.
There you go.
Synergy.
And there's a pretty good, there's the bodyguard 1/5 Pluto that has 5 strength when there's no damage on it, so that's pretty cool. Oh, pixie dust on Brian's side of the board. This is a really interesting item that can allow you to deal with evasive. So I think it's whenever you exert and pay 2, and you can give a character evasive, and I want to say challenger 2. I'm going to double check that.
So there it is. Is that going to be enough? As Ed still has
yes,
game on board.
Nailed it.
Ed still has game on board with the Mickey and Panic. So you're going to have to continue to challenge. I think you got to go into this Panic. That's the only character you can't engage with right now, because that is your only evasive character right now, unless you use that Pixie Dust. Would you use that Pixie Dust on? I can't. It looks like we can't hear the players, so just keep that in mind, as we are going to go ahead and send the Queen into that Panic. I think that's the correct decision, as it does quest for 2. We are going to just quest for 2 with our own Magic Carpet, and now you're taking kind of control of this board. Does Ed have a lure burst?
So we're using that evasive not to answer evasive, but just to be an annoying evasive character, because obviously the Diablo cannot hit the full willpower necessary for the Magic Carpet. Down comes the Stitch. When he banishes a character, you draw a card and gain a lore. Pretty good.
Absolutely. All right, so this game is intense, man. I'm sweating. Ed has game on board right now. I think Brian needs to make something happen. You have the Genie. He just cannot get it done. The hands are extended, and Edmond Chiu is going to move on